Welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name's Laura, and this is a special class I've put together for you on the 9 birth card personality types explored. So thank you so much for joining us today. Just before we get started, I do want to mention I have a very timely surprise at about 40 minutes in for you guys. If you're watching with us live this week, it's January 28th at the date of recording here, and this training is going to be up until February 3rd, I believe. So if you're watching within that time frame, I have a special surprise gift for you guys at about 40 minutes in, just so you know. Okay, and let's get back to our class. Each and every one of us has a couple of the major arcana of the tarot. There are 22 of them, and they're different from the minor arcanas. And these same major arcanas, these same 22 cards, are expressed in every tarot deck out there, just by a different artist with a slightly different flavor a lot of the time, but they're the same 22 major cards in every single tarot deck. There's a way to look at your birth date and compute your birth cards from that data. It's a lot like finding some aspect of your astrological chart in terms of how it can relate to and translate to some sort of interpretation of an aspect of your personality for you. It can inform a lot for you, namely in regards to your soul path on the planet. I find that my birth cards relate very heavily to an energetic that my soul path appears to be very comfortable with. And that energetic that my soul path has chosen through my birthday and consequently my birth card is very relatable to me, to all sorts of aspects of my life. And when those cards that are my birth cards show up in my tarot readings, it becomes very significant. You know, when you know what your birth card is, you see it when it comes up in a reading right away, and you know that that card is just a little bit more meaningful to you because it's one of your birth cards. I have 2 birth cards, and I'm going to show you how to compute them right now. Okay, so if you'd like to get a pen and paper out, if you're better with arithmetic when you have a pen and paper handy, I am for sure. You may very well be able to do this in your head if you really are, you know, a great mathematical brain. It's easier for me to have a pen and paper handy, so if you need to pause the video to go grab that, if you don't have one handy, that's fine. And then just start it back up when you're ready here, and I'll show you how to find your birth cards. So I'm going to use my own birthday as an example for you here. As you see me do this exercise with my birthday, I want you to do the same exercise with your own birthday. And first up is to put your birth date into this format. So my birthday is July 30th of 1977. So I do 3 groups of numbers, right? I do 07 and then 30 and then 1977. And those are my 3 groups of number. So you've got a group for the day and the date. You've got a group for the month. And those are, it doesn't matter, by the way, whether you're, you know, following an American system of notating a number in this format or an English system. You may have noticed I said that in a different way than it is written here, and that's because I grew up in the UK, where we very often we will put the date first, the day and the date first, and then we'll talk about the month, and then we'll talk about the years. So in Great Britain, this birth date, July 30th, is actually written as the 30th of July. So it's written 37 a lot of the time, and I've spent about half my life in each country, so I get really mixed up about those two. The nice thing in terms of computing a birth sum, because basically we're going to do a sum with these numbers here, in terms of being a good tarot interpreter for people, is it doesn't end up mattering one iota, actually, how you do these sums. They will always, always, always add up to the same number. So whether you've got the day or the month first, it really doesn't end up mattering that much. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to take a cross sum of those three sets of numbers that you've got there. So a cross sum is essentially very simply where you add up the first and second number in a group, or the first, second, third, and fourth number in a group. You just add them all up and they give you another number like this. So my month 07 adds up to itself because 0 plus 7 is 7. So the cross sum of 07 is 7, right? And the cross sum of 30 is 3 by the same token. So far I've got two cross sum numbers from taking the cross sums of those first two sets of numbers. And then I have to add up my birth year. The cross sum of 1 plus 9 plus 7 plus 7 is 24. Now, here's a rule, and you might want to write this on the side when you get to the birth year of anyone that you're computing a birth card number for. If the number that you see is greater than 21, you reduce it. Okay? If the number that you see is 21 or less, you are still going to reduce it, but circle it so that you can see very clearly that that number is also 21. And the reason that, or less than 21, or any number less than 21, the reason that you want to circle that is because if your birth year adds up to less than or equal to 21, there is a major arcana card associated just with your birth year. Likewise, if you have a number that reduces to, a sum of 21 or less, so for instance, let's say that you were born on the 21st of July, not the 30th of July, like me, or you were born on the 19th, or the 7th, or the 4th, or any number that is less than 21. You're going to want to also take note that you have a major arcana card associated with the day of your birth. There's also a major arcana card associated with the number of the month of your birth, and there's a major arcana card associated with the cross sum of your birth year. So the cross sum of your birth year is going to end up giving you a major arcana card if it is more than 21 when you reduce it through cross summing. So 24, there isn't a number 24 in the major arcana, but there's only 21 and a 0 card, so there's actually 22 major arcana cards, but 24 there are not. So I reduce my birth year further there, and I say 2 plus 4 equals 6. So right here, before we go any further, just with reducing your numbers here, the number for your month has been reduced by cross summing, and you've got the cross sum of the date of your birth, and you've got the cross sum of the year of your birth. Those numbers right there correspond to major arcana cards. And so, for instance, the number 7 corresponds to the Chariot. That's the Chariot number in the major arcana. The Chariot is one of the Tarot's major arcana cards. So my month, July, is especially associated with the Chariot, just through pure numerology. My date, 30, reduces to 3, and that is the number of the Empress in the major arcana card. So the Empress card is particularly associated with those of us that have 30s as birth dates. And then 1977, all of those of us who were born in 1977 was technically a lover's year. The lovers is the number 6 major arcana card in tarot. So you've got some associations there, but the really personal stuff comes through when you do the next step, which is adding up those 3 numbers. We are actually going to take the cross sum of your birth day, your birth month, and your birth year. So for me, I get 16. When I add up 7 and 3 and 6, that equals 16. So because 7 and 3 and 6 add up to 16, at this point I have determined, and whatever number you've ended up with here, determines your primary birth card. Okay? Now, how you're going to see this right now is that it's a number, but we're going to show you in the next section which of the major arcana cards correlate to these numbers, and then you'll understand how this number is actually your birth card's number. Okay, but we're not quite done because there's more than one birth card per person, depending on what number you've just come up with. You are either going to have 2 or 3 birth cards. The birth card that you see on your screen right now is your primary birth card, but there are secondary and tertiary birth card numbers for you. And I'm going to show you how we get those. You've probably guessed it, we just reduced this number again through the cross-summing exercise that we did up above a few times. So my birth card, my primary birth card, which is number 16, reduces as 1 plus 6 to 7. So 7 is also one of my 2 birth cards. So my 2 birth cards are 16 and 7. And there's a distinct personality type, different from the other 8 of the 9 personality types, which is specifically a 16-7. And those 2 numbers correspond to the Tower and the Chariot of the major arcana of the Tarot, because each of those major arcanas are numbered. So I'm going to show you in a minute how the numbers you're coming up with here relate to the major arcana cards, but I just want to go through a few special instances here that many of you may be running into, actually, especially if you figured out that your first number there is a single number. Then you're asking yourself, well, how on earth do I get the cross sum of a single number? There is nothing to cross and sum. There's one number, right? And so the idea of a cross sum only gets us so far, especially if you've come up with a single digit number. Yes, you do have 1 or 2 other birth cards. Everyone has 2 or 3. And I'm just going to go through them all quickly for you, because what you kind of have to think through and be pretty familiar with to do just kind of in your head at this point is that there are 21 major arcana cards. So you are looking for numbers in a cross-sum association with each other that are 21 or less. Okay, so here's what happens if you are a 1. Actually, you wouldn't have actually computed a 1. Let's start with 2. What if you came up with 2 as the number you got when you added up your 3 numbers? Well, then that would correspond to the High Priestess card, which is archetype 2 of the major arcana. Now, the thing about number 2 is there are a couple of other numbers that are less than or equal to 21, which, when taken in cross-sum, add up to 2. So these cards, by association, are also this person's birth cards. So, for instance, 2 is also 1 plus 1. Okay? So 1 plus 1 is, that's how we write 11. And so archetype 11 is in this birth card association, this personality type association with archetype 2. And there's another number that is less than or equal to 20 that has that same relationship, and that is 20. And so that's 2 plus 0. So 20 is also a cross-sum relationship with 2. So the person who has the 2 there actually has 3 birth card numbers: number 2, number 11, and number 20. So hopefully that makes sense. And then they correspond to major arcana cards. I'm probably just going to list those here with you, and I'm going to just do this pattern so that you have the 9 sets of major arcanas for yourself. So if you have a 2, then you are a 2, an 11, and a 20. Those are the important birth card numbers for you. And that's the High Priestess, that's the 2. Number 11 is justice in most decks today. There are exceptions there. You may have strength or fortitude as your number 11 if you have an older tarot deck or a tarot deck inspired by an older deck design. But for the most part, number 11 is justice. And then number 20 is associated with a major card called judgment. And judgment is very often renamed because judgment in a harsh biblical sense is a really interesting concept. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But the High Priestess, justice, and judgment are in this personality set together as some people's birth cards, okay? Now, we also have what if you come up with a 3 in this position? Well, the number 3 correlates to the Empress, and the numbers that are associated with 3 that are less than or equal to 21 are 12 and 21. So 12 correlates to the archetype of the Hanged Man, and 21 correlates to the archetype of the World. So the 3, 12, 21 birth card personality is the Empress, the Hanged Man, and the World. Those are the 3 cards involved in that particular personality set. Okay, now we're actually going to go back and look at what happens if number 1 is one of your numbers. You've probably got 10 coming up as what you've actually got your cross sum. Well, 1 plus 0 is also 1, right? So 10 actually reduces to 1. But because that was your reduction process, you know that 10 is another one of your birth cards. And then the funny thing about this pattern is that 10 can also be a cross-summed result of 19. 1 plus 9 equals 10. So 1, 10, and 19 are in a birth card personality association with each other. And that is the Magician card, the Wheel of Fortune card, and the Sun card. So we'll talk a little bit more about that personality set in a little while. And then, leading on from here, we have some simpler ones. So we've done 1, 10, 19. Those may be your 3 birth cards. We've done 2 and 11 and 20 as a birth card set. We've talked about 3 and 12 and 21 as a birth card set. Now let's look at 4. 4 is way simpler because 4 basically only has one association below 21, and that's 13, because 1 plus 3 equals 4. So 4 and 13 are in a set together, and that's the Emperor and Death. That's the personality type. And then we're going to go through the rest of these, but I think I'm going to change the slide up for you to show you the associations here. You can actually start kind of visualizing. So there's the Chariot and the Tower in the top left corner, so that's 7 and 16. And then over on the top right corner we have the Hierophant and Temperance, so that's 5 and 14. Just kind of clockworking around, so you've got 3 and 12 there. 21 isn't there. I talked about 21 being in that set too, but you can see 3 and 12, and that for the most part tells us a lot about this birth card personality type. And then there's the one I was just talking about over on the bottom left, and that's the Emperor and Death, 4 and 13. Okay, so here's the Priestess and Justice and Judgment and the Sun and the Wheel of Fortune and the Magician for you again. Oh, we've actually already talked about those 2 as sets. And then there's 3 more, and those are 6 and 15. That's the Lovers and the Devil. And then there's 8 and 17, or 17 and 8, the Star and Strength, or Strength and the Star. And then there's 9 and 18, the Hermit and the Moon. So those are the 9 different personality sets for you. And I think I'm going to go through all of them now, just briefly. I'm going to spend about a minute or 2 describing each set very, very briefly. As you can imagine, there's a whole study for each of these birth card sets that we can do, and they can be very in-depth, and you can do a whole workshop on each of these pairings, and we actually have those workshops coming up You can do a workshop on each of these pairings for a couple of hours each and really get to know each of these pairings in a very fluent way. And that can be an amazing skill to have as a divinator. If you can get someone's birthday at the beginning of a session, you can derive a lot about their soul path and their personality if you can get a handle on their birth card. So this is a very good skill to have as a reader. It's also just an amazing personal insight tool for yourself. But just really briefly, and very similar, these 9 patterns I'm going to describe to you, actually very similar to if an astrologer just gave you a 20-minute lecture on all of the astrological sun signs that a person could fit into, right? So it's kind of the same level of information. So Chariot and Tower personalities, let's look at them first. This is obviously the one that I should know best because it's my own. Now, does it matter which cross-sum card is the primary? Yes, actually, it sort of does, because very often you will find that the primary card is what a person sees as dominant in themselves. And because it's like the big hit over the head from the soul path, right? It's your dominant birth card. So you probably have an inkling that your dominant birth card expresses something about you, okay? So, I may just go through the dominant birth cards by themselves, first of all. But they pair, and it's like they have 2 sides, or they have a light and a shadow aspect. Each of our personality type sets have both cards, or all 3 cards in them, because they are all aspects of light and shadow aspects of our personality and our proclivity and tendency to certain behaviors. So both of these cards kind of relate to each other because they provide kind of an escape or a solution or a problem to each other. They have this just ongoing relationship. So the tower is, if someone's primary birth card is the tower, they are, they sort of can be destructive, or they can experience destruction in their lives a lot, which sort of amounts to the same thing on a soul level. If a soul is sort of a destroyer soul on a level, and this isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's the interesting thing. For instance, Kali is all about destruction and destroying in order to make way for the new, right? And she sees what needs to be cleared from the path, right? So there is a very positive aspect to destruction a lot of the time. Or for instance, look at, a very natural forest fire. I'm not talking about any of the tragedy wildfires, but, a very natural forest fire is actually healthy for a forest. It burns the sickly trees. It provides then more of a water base for the other trees that do withstand the fire. It sort of tempers them in a way and makes them stronger. And then they can put down deeper roots and access more water because the competition has been thinned and destroyed by the fire. So fire can actually make a forest much healthier. Right, so in the same way, destruction is an important part of making any system healthier. It also relates to what you let go of a lot of the time. And for instance, if you've binged on chocolate and beer for an entire year of your life, you might be feeling kind of icky and sluggish, and you might do a detox. And that detox is a destruction of all of the icky toxins that you did not need anymore, right? So very important to destroy occasionally, and that is the positive aspect of this personality. The Tower as a negative personality is obviously going to be prone to destroying, just as a basic pattern. They are prone to destructive habits, and that can be all sorts of things. So, that's the Tower in a nutshell. The Chariot is the other side of that. The personality type that has a dominant Chariot personality is a born leader. They are very good at balancing light and dark and staying on their course with a single pointed focus, while juggling a lot, and bringing a lot of things into balance. And they usually are very good at making progress, making headway, getting ahead. Those are all charioteer personalities. So as you can see, moving forward can sometimes require destruction, and destruction in its aftermath requires leadership. So the Chariot and the Tower are two sides to one personality, and you can see light and shadow in there. You really can. The shadow aspects of the Chariot can be, this person can be controlling, they can be stubborn, they can be set in their ways no matter what. So, the Chariot and the Tower, that's one personality type. The Hierophant and Temperance, let's move on to them now. So if you are a 5 or a 14, then you are also a 14 or a 5. And so these two pair. The Hierophant are, that energetic is specifically very, very dear to students and teachers. People who lead through teaching. And this includes gurus and followers of gurus, and in an academic sense, it includes students and teachers. And so, people can love being a student, or they can love teaching with a passion, because that is something about their personality type. The main kind of shadow issue that a Hierophant personality type is going to run into is that they can feel like they're always a student and never actually walking their own path in life. They're always just learning from a higher source. So they don't really feel completely here in this world a lot of the time. And the guru or the teacher, likewise, they can feel like they're always teaching and they're always giving 100% of their energy pretty much to their students. And so they don't ever get a chance to be a student themselves or to receive themselves, right? They actually are kind of from a spirit path but stuck in this world, rather than being from this world and stuck in the spirit, in the teaching. So the answer there is Temperance as the other part of this personality type. And Temperance is that function that allows us to blend spirit and earth realities. It also allows us to blend teaching and giving and receiving as a student. And much more. Temperance is a very alchemical card, lots of alchemical symbolism that we go into with both of these cards in relation. You can see a lot of symbolism in the Hierophant and Temperance. You can in all of these cards, actually, and obviously there's a lot more there, but that's essentially Hierophant and Temperance in a nutshell for you. Let's dive down to the Emperor and Death as a personality set. So the Emperor is control, the Emperor is authority, the Emperor is, dominion. The Emperor is also responsibility for others, right? An emperor carries the responsibility of his kingdom. He's very in control, but he also has to be sort of watching everything at one time, watching within his castle walls and without, to make sure that he's not being invaded. And so all of that energy of being constantly vigilant because you are the absolute authority, and the absolute caregiver, in a sense, huge responsibility. That is very often how life feels for an emperor type. And so they pair with 13, which is Death, which is basically the card that says we are going to leave something completely behind. We are going to escape from this situation completely, close a chapter completely, and move on to the sunrise that you see in the back of the Death card, to something completely and utterly new. But first of all, we are going to completely and utterly close a chapter in our life. And the pattern that the Emperor-Death association can have is a lot like, the Chariot Tower in a way. But here, the destruction of the tower is a simple and, quite natural, and very, often the timing of these changes has been organized in death, but it can have the same result. Leaving something behind and getting onto something new is very related to cleansing and destruction in a way. So that's the positive part of if you have a 13 come up as the first cross thumb you got there. Being a death archetype isn't necessarily a bad thing. You are one of those archetypes if your archetype is death, as your birth card archetype predominantly, where you're really good at ending chapters, closing chapters, walking away. And, so your life very often makes a lot of progress, actually, consequently, if this is your personality type, because you just don't stand around when things, go downhill. If your main proclivity is to archetype 13's personality, then, if you find yourself in a situation that isn't working in some way for you, you're actually quite comfortable, usually, with closing that chapter and starting something new. And because you also have the Emperor as a dominant archetype in your personality mix there, you can be very helped by this, because it's very easy for you to find how to regain control, usually quite quickly, of any situation. And that's an incredibly great skill to have. Of course, the flip side of that is the controlling can get out of hand and the leaving can get out of hand. If you're a dominant personality type with the Emperor as your primary of those two archetypes, you may see that responsibility and ruling and leadership and control and authority, part of your personality being, very much what you feel. And you may, from time to time, crave a death, crave a closing, crave a leaving of a situation, so that it just doesn't all get too much, basically. Right, so that's the Emperor and Death in a nutshell. Again, I've got like a 2-hour workshop for each of these pairings coming up. So if anyone's just really intrigued and interested in learning a lot more, I have more of these for you, and I'll share some of that with you in a little while. Okay, Empress and the Hanged Man, and like I said, there is a third here, which is the World. We're just going to have a look at the Empress and the Hanged Man for now. The Empress and the Hanged Man and the World personality is a personality that enjoys the experience of abundance. You can see that with the Empress. She is an abundant symbol of fertility and nurturing and just joy through fertility and nurturing and abundance. And so the Empress is very often, wanting nothing more than to sit back on her throne and just revel and enjoy her abundance. But very often she comes to this other place, which is ruled by the archetype of the Hanged Man. And the Hanged Man leaves her feeling suspended, or if she could just get something changed, or something needs to happen, then she can sit back and enjoy. And the thing here is the Hanged Man is very disempowered in a sense. And the Empress, conversely, is very empowered. So empowerment really becomes the interplay of these two archetypes. Now, when we come upright again, fully formed at 21, which we haven't shown, that's the World card, we feel complete. We feel in one time, rather than waiting for anything to happen or sitting back and just enjoying being in the moment fully, enjoying abundance. We are always in the moment. And we are always enjoying abundance. And that is the possibility when this archetype pattern kind of ascends to its solution of card 21. The Hanged Man, if that is the dominant archetype, this person is very, very good at seeing things from a different perspective than anyone else, because something has left them feeling like they're waiting. They have to be very patient. Sometimes in the shadow aspect of this becomes disempowerment. But there's a very positive way of seeing the Hanged Man card as well, and it is that stance of suspension and getting out from a situation, separating out from a situation to see a situation as a distant observer rather than someone in the middle of all of the drama. When you can do that, when you can detach, you can become enlightened. So the Hanged Man as a personality type is very, very good at that for whatever reason. And then the Empress is all about healthy immersion and experience of oneness and no detachment, because there is nothing else from you to detach from. It is complete abundance. So those two archetypes relate to each other in that way. Okay, here are the other two sets of three: Priestess, Justice, Judgment, and Sun, Wheel of Fortune, Magician. We talked about these a little bit. As you can see, there's a general theme of opinion, judgment, wisdom, discernment, balancing. All of that is kind of the theme of the Priestess, Justice, Judgment set. The Priestess representing inner wisdom, Justice representing the balance of inner and outer wisdom to come up with, just societies. And then Judgment is, of course, about, it could be your own judgment of anything, not any higher powers necessarily, but this has to do with the ultimate meaning, the ultimate discernments of any situation, being able to see the big picture and see the whole life clearly is only possible, of course, at the end of life. And so that judgment also relates to non-attachment and discernment. But those three archetypes play in this personality set together: inner and outer wisdom, justice and judgment. And then down at the bottom, we've got the Magician and the Wheel and the Sun. And this is a very celebratory personality composite when put together nicely. Also a very empowered personality type. The Magician is sort of the cosmic partner to the Empress. The cards both have a golden background. So all of the abundance that the Empress had here is expressed as the creative abundance as the Magician. He knows he has abundance because he knows he is a creator and he can create anything that he sets out to create. This is about manifesting. This is about celebrating manifestations. That's dominantly what this archetype does well at. When you have kind of a squished magician personality and they're not getting to create, they can get really uncomfortable. And okay, and the last three really quickly: the Lovers and the Devil. What I might show you here is you can almost imagine interlaying these doubles right on top of each other. You can see how the Star and Strength have almost the same shape to them. Same with the Lovers and the Devil if you look at the shapes of the figures in those cards. And it's almost like the Hermit's lantern is the Moon card, within that lantern. And so he is holding this whole situation in his hands. The Hermit and the Moon relate to facing fear of aloneness and the virtue of solitude and the virtue of sort of facing very difficult, sometimes unconscious things. This personality type is very good at doing all of that. The Star and Strength. This personality type is very good at finding inspiration from the astral planes, the spirit planes, something inspiring, etheric, spiritual, and they go to that spiritual silence and solitude as just sort of a way to nurture themselves. That is very often very important to them. And at the same time, they must also be nurturing a physical strength through a beautiful interaction with the physical plane. Maybe hiking is very dear to their hearts, or some, activity in nature or animals. But, strength from the earth and the heavens, and inspiration from the earth and the heavens. That's the balance that this personality archetype gets to have a look at in this lifetime. The Lovers and the Devil, very much in relationship, always in relationship. And relationship teaches this personality type a lot. It makes sure that, on a higher soul path, this personality type should be aspiring to be inspired by their relationships and nurtured by their relationships. Their relationships can very often guide their life path. And for this personality type, that can be an amazing thing. It can be a really positive thing. The shadow side of this is that, life path is dictated too much by other people. A personality type with 15 can very often feel oppressed, or they could also be perpetually in fear of some awful outcome, and that can also stop them from living their full life path. But with a little bit of awareness, they can pull to the inspirational dynamic of the lovers in relationship rather than the devil relationship, and that is very often the soul path or the healing for this archetype set. So we've gone over now all 9 of these archetype sets very, very briefly. There is a part 2 to this master class, and that part 2 is the Tarot Mastery Club, which is a full year's curriculum of mastery classes like this sample one that's taken us about 40 minutes to get through. Imagine receiving a full 6-hour online tarot course each and every month for the next year. That's essentially the opportunity available to you with the Tarot Mastery Club. So the Tarot Mastery Club is going to get you 13 master online tarot courses in one transformative year. And we're going to go over which courses you're going to get and when in your membership you get access to them in just a little while here, because I've tried to design this club so that it's completely tailored and customized for you as an individual member. So you get to choose from a whole array of courses which course you would like access to next. And most of the courses that you're going to be getting access to are about 6 hours in length, meaning that if you wanted to, you could take a 1-day retreat out of your month every month, and you could go through the 6 hours in that month's online course. Now, some of the courses you're going to find are going to require more like 2 days of your time, and those are our larger courses, and those will come your way every so often as well. But overall, you're going to get access, and you're going to get to go keep the recordings of the Master Online Tarot courses, 13 of them in all, 1 a month in one transformative year. So as a member of the Tarot Mastery Club, you get access to one of those Master Online Tarot courses, a course that you choose every month. Also every month, you get a personal reading from me directly to you each and every month. It's about a 45-minute reading, and it's done especially for you every month. What you're going to do every month is you're going to essentially send me an email about everything that you would like me to cover in your reading. And then on the first weekend of every month, I make time in my personal schedule to go through all of the email reading requests that have come into me. And I spend a full 2 days of my month bringing those readings through for my members. I currently have about 20 members, so that takes me a weekend a month to bring in every single one of those individual 45-minute readings for my students. So I block out that weekend to bring you your readings, and I record them on an online video, but they're just for you. They're private access just for you. And you get the video, but it's your tarot reading from me, and you can go through it just like you're listening to my voice on this screen right now. So that's going to happen for you every month. You're going to get a personalized 45-minute tarot card reading from me directly. The other main benefit of the Tarot Mastery Club for you is you also receive 13 comp tickets to my live tarot training retreats. And this is a lot like the 6-hour Discovering Your Destiny at Imbolc retreat, which is happening this coming week on the 3rd of February. I'm going to be doing 13 live tarot day retreats like that over the course of the year in northern Arizona. So we have a nice retreat house here in the country club area of Flagstaff, just north of Sedona. It's a beautiful setting, nice big property with a front studio in the retreat home where we hold these, intimate but very much the energy of this place you are going to like. It works very well for teaching things like tarot. We're also going to be incorporating a yoga class or two into most of those retreats to sort of open and close our time together. You're welcome to join us for that portion of the retreat or not. And then there'll be about 6 hours of workshops during the day retreat. So you're going to get comped tickets to those day retreats, which are each valued at $97. And they are yours as well as a member of the Mastery Club. So you don't have to use all of these benefits. You don't have to go through an online tarot course every month and get a personal reading that we discuss together from me every month and come to a day retreat in Flagstaff, Arizona every month. You don't have to do that, but I'm going to show you how you can sort of mix and match that stuff up to really tailor for yourself the perfect tarot mastery curriculum for 2015 to 2016. If one of your goals this year is to become a master of the tarot, this will get you there for $45 a month. You can also choose to do one payment of $350 now when you enroll and just pay for the full year membership in advance. So either way is fine for you. I want to go over these online tarot courses for you in more detail. I'm going to go over a little bit more about your reading for you, and I'm going to go over the live tarot training days in more detail for you now too. And don't worry if you can't make the live tarot training days in Flagstaff. One of the other nice things that we're doing for our Tarot Mastery members this year is we are recording every single one of those 6-hour day-long retreats in the deep dive immersion subjects of the tarot. And you're also going to get all 13 of those recordings. So you get 13 pre-recorded Master Online Tarot courses, and essentially, by the end of the year, you will have 13 companion courses that are the recordings of the 13 live retreats of the year. You are welcome to attend those with us live, but if you can't, you also get the recordings. Another thing you can do with those tickets is you can bring friends to a 2 or 3 day retreat. We have some of those on the calendar. All of the 2 and 3 day retreats you can attend just one day, or you can attend 2, or you can attend 3 days. The retreat will be equally as valuable to you no matter how many days you can attend, but just so you know, some of them are structured together that way. So you could always just treat yourself and a friend to a 2 or 3 day retreat in Flagstaff if you want, if you're further afield and day retreats don't quite make as much sense of you. I'll show you how all of that pans out right now. Here's an overview of what happens for you when you're choosing your online courses. So essentially, when you start out with us, right away we give you Tarot for Beginners. You get instant access to Tarot for Beginners when you enroll in the Tarot Mastery Club today. And Tarot for Beginners is more like a 16-hour course, and it will lead you from complete novice tarot reader through to a point where you can read tarot cards without a book, without much of a reference at all, because we teach you some amazing patterns in that class that enable you to just pick up a deck of tarot cards, and literally you can pick up any deck of tarot cards, any design, any artist, any interpretation. If it's a true 78 card deck of tarot cards, this training, Tarot for Beginners, in 16 hours, which for me is about the equivalent of one immersion weekend, you will be running tarot for you will be reading, excuse me, tarot, like you've been reading for years, and that is a guarantee from me to you. And then after you get that course on instant access and you've enjoyed Tarot for Beginners, or if you are already a seasoned tarot readers and the main reason for you doing this group with us, the Mastery Club, is to do more of a deep dive, a true mastery from an advanced tarot practitioner point of view, you can also opt to choose one more course for that reason. So maybe you're just really excited to get started in tarot this month and you want to go through Tarot for Beginners, or you've already gone through a beginner training and you're ready to get started on your next training. In your first month, we give you the choice here of also choosing one of the next 5 courses, or 6 courses, I think there. Yeah, there's 6 of them. And you can choose one of those 6 to also get instant access to. So how that works is basically you get into the course, we give you instant access to Tarot for Beginners when you enroll with us, and then you also get an email saying, hi, which of these 6 courses do you want to choose as your next course? And you just shoot me an email back and say, I'd like access to this one, please, and I'll send you access to whichever course you have chosen. So that's your first month. And again, if you don't have time to go through all of these courses every month, don't worry, because you have lifetime access to them. So you're literally just building your tarot library of courses here for $45 a month. In month 2, if we don't hear from you, if you're on vacation or something, or you've told us to just send you the most appropriate course every month, we will be sending you Tarot 201, Advanced Tarot 201. And Advanced Tarot 201 covers the suit of wands in the tarot in a deep dive training. Or if you would prefer to choose a different class from this list, we open up about 12 or 13 of our classes to you to choose from on month 2. And the reason we open up more classes to you on month 2 is that, if you've gone through month 1 of the Tarot Mastery Club, you are a more advanced tarot practitioner than you were last month. So in the second month of your membership, you'll get an email saying, hi, congratulations on reaching month 2 of your Tarot Mastery year. Here are the courses you have a choice between this month. Please email me back with the one you would like access to. You email me back and I get you access. The same thing happens in month 3, and again you can see the class that I will send you automatically there, and then you also have your choice of any of the classes that you see listed underneath. And again, we've opened up a few more to you based on what's available that's been recorded, and also what has been deemed kind of a level that we would like you to have a couple of months in the program before we give you some of the more advanced options. So any of those courses were available to you in month 3. And you'll see a list of options like this for you to choose from every month of the 12 months. So in that way, it's a full tarot course for you every month. And it's a mastery for you in this year that is very custom for you, because you are going to choose which course you want to go through every month from a menu of course options. So as you develop as a tarot student, you're going to have different preferences on what you would like to study next versus the next tarot student. You're different, you're unique. So I wanted to create a club that gave you that, and gave you that as sort of just honoring who you are as an individual, not just me saying here's what you should study next, because I don't like courses that go with too much of the you should do this or you should do that. I have always been a seeker and a learner and a student, but I'm in charge of what I get to learn next most of the time. I get more enthusiastic about what I'm studying that way, and I found that's a really nice thing to give my own students. So that's why I've structured it that way for you, and that probably gives you a full sense of those online courses that you receive each and every month. Again, each of these online courses is about 6 hours in length. There are some that are longer than that. The Chakra Intuition System is 68 readings for the energy body, and that one is 12 hours, for instance. And you're going to find that, tarot in the sacred year, astrology, solstices, equinox, and other observances also becomes a much longer class. And the first class, Tarot for Beginners, is 16 hours because that's really the primer course. So that's the big chunk. Most of these courses are going to be more like 6 hours, but there are a few that are longer. So just so you know. So that describes to you the 13 master online classes. Now I want to give you a little bit more information about the reading. And for those of you who sign up this week, for the first 10 people this week, I actually have some spaces in my schedule to do an expanded personal welcome reading session. So usually every month you get a 45-minute private personal reading from me, and I've already told you a little bit about that. But this month I'm doing an enrollment special at the Tarot Mastery Club. So if you're one of the first 10 to enroll, I'm going to email you and say, you actually have a priority booking slot this month, which means that I will, fit you in first. And the other thing that is coming your way, instead of a 45-minute reading, is a 90-minute reading. And that will work really well for me with you as a new member, because I really like to have a nice baseline, longer reading on my students before we, clock in to the, 45-minute readings every month. 45 minutes, you cover a lot in. And as we get to know each other over the months, you become a client, and I essentially look at what's going on with you, and I see you and I advise you every month through these personal readings. So we develop a relationship over the year, and that is really a very valuable way to see someone who's reading for you is monthly. But that 90-minute session that I'm offering to the first 10 people to enroll here gives me that much more time to get to know you just a little bit better in your first month of membership. So I don't have time to do more than 10 of those, because obviously that's about, that's about 5 extra hours of my time this month. But for the first 10, I do have time to do that. So if you know that this is sounding great, you might want to go ahead and jump on that enrollment button. And you're also going to get, if you're one of the first 10 people to enroll, I'm also going to give you a free full year forecast reading as a bonus. Now, the full year forecast reading is something that I do for people on one of the cross-quarter dates of the year. It takes me about 3 hours to pull through, and of course we have the equinox coming up, cross-quarter or equinox. So the spring equinox is really the beginning of the astrological year. So at this time you'll see me start booking these special sessions. They're 3-hour sessions where I do a full year forecast for my clients, and that is a $497 reading usually, and it's a once a year thing that I have an avid but small group of people that consistently call me up for. So what I'm going to do this year, again for the first 10 into the Mastery Club, is I want to gift you one of those forecast readings. Okay, so that's another enrollment bonus for you if you enroll as one of the first 10 Tarot Mastery Club members this week only. You also get enrollment with me in the private reading VIP club when you sign up this week to the Tarot Mastery Club. And that is essentially a group on Facebook that I'm putting together. Enables you to come onto Facebook for a live reading session with a private group of us every week. You'll get access times when you join the Mastery Club, and at 3 separate times every week within that group, I'm going to be doing live one-card readings for my members. So not only do you get the 45-minute private personal reading from me every month, and not only if you're one of the first 10 do you get the 3-hour full year forecast reading as a bonus when you enroll in the Mastery Club, but you also get a weekly one-card reading opportunity 3 times a week in our private group. So that's the private reading VIP group. And then as a special bonus to you this month, because we're coming up on the spring equinox, and for the folks that join in the month or so prior to the spring equinox, again, I did talk about the spring equinox being the beginning of the astrological year. I have a course for you that I'm going to enroll you in now. Just before the spring equinox. The course is called the Sacred Year, and it's an ongoing course that you'll get throughout the year, special online workshops, just like the Tarot Mastery Club content will be online video workshops for you. But the Sacred Year course is going to lead you through the astrological year, the rhythm year for Gaia, the Earth, so sort of the equinoxes and the cross-quarter dates, as well as the astrology are covered in the Sacred Year course. And we have special tarot readings and special observances and special energy work practices and meditations and rituals of all sorts that you can do throughout the sacred year to really enhance your connection to the Gaian and the cosmic energies. And when you align the energies of the earth and the energies of the cosmos with your personal body's subtle body energy channels, through just activating frequencies and vibrations that bring you into alignment with all of those energies, your life is so much more congruent feeling energetically. You'll notice a difference in your energy level. You'll notice a difference in, how your understanding of what's going on in your life pertains to the rhythms of the year. There's just such a great value in following through the Sacred Year course concurrently with the Tarot Mastery Club that right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to enroll the first 10 people into the Tarot Mastery Club this week only in the Sacred Year Club as well. I'm essentially taking the first 10 people every week to sign up. So today is Wednesday, and this video is basically talking about the time from now, Wednesday, through to Sunday of this week. So the first 10 people that I have sign up from Wednesday to Sunday get these extra bonuses, but I'm also going to be offering those to the first 10 in additional weeks as well. And by the way, if you really, really want to attain these bonuses and you become a member this week and you're not one of the first 10, don't worry. Because what I do every week is I'm going to send you an email, and that email is going to get the first 10 responses into the private reading VIP club on Facebook. So you'll get that email every week from me when you join the Tarot Mastery Club. And when you get into the private reading VIP club, all of these other bonuses are in there for you. You'll find a way to redeem a longer reading. You'll find a way to redeem the bonus reading of the full year forecast. And you'll find a way to enroll in the Sacred Year course, all from within the private reading VIP club on Facebook. So even if you miss first 10 this week and you don't get instant access to these benefits right now this week, you will have a chance to be one of the first 10 again each and every week of your membership. So it's kind of like a wait list system, and there's space for you to get into these private reading sessions eventually. It kind of works that way for scheduling reasons for me. But so yeah, that's just my incentive for you guys to sign up as one of the first 10. So that brings us through. You've gone through the 13 Master Online courses with me now, and you've learned a little bit more about the readings that I offer to the Tarot Mastery Club. I want to just really briefly show you the schedule for these live training day retreats in northern Arizona. Okay, there's the live retreat schedule for 2015. So on some of these retreat names, you'll find dates to the right of the name of the retreat. And as you can see, some of these retreats are more than 1 day long. Generally, if they don't have the days listed, we're going to be scheduling those days, and those will be 2 or 3 or 1 day retreats. We'll have the exact schedule up for you within the month. We set our schedule, in February of each year, ready for the spring equinox of every year. So coming up, you can see February 14th, 15th, and 16th in Flagstaff, you have access to Tarot for Love and Relationships. If you want to come as a comp to the live retreat in Flagstaff, you are welcome to do that. You can come for one of those days, 2 of those days, or 3 of those days. Each day in that Tarot for Love and Relationships schedule basically functions as a 1 day retreat. Slightly different content each day though, so if you want to join us for 3 days, you're going to get a new training each and every workshop slot for those 3 days. And that's kind of how all of these work, so hopefully that makes sense. So for any of these retreats here you see with multiple days listed, just know that if you want to just come to Flagstaff for, once a year or twice a year, we can still accommodate you via offering you access to these multi-day retreats that you can come for any number of days within. And remember, you can also use those comp tickets to send friends to these live retreats. No matter whether your friends come, whether you come, how many of them you make it to, you also, of course, get all of the recordings for these online workshops as we roll them out, as we go through them. When we go through these, we will be recording them, and those recordings are going to be put into an online format on an online platform for classes called Udemy, and you'll get access to those courses and those recordings that way via Udemy. So that describes to you the live tarot training day retreats that you get to. So you get the master online courses every month, you get the readings from me personally to you every month, you get the online Facebook group for readings throughout the week from me live for you personally, and you get the live tarot training day retreats, either in recording or live with me. You get one of those experiences essentially every single month that you are a member. And the total cost, that's my cat in the background, and the total cost of the entire membership is just $45 a month for essentially what ends up being 2 6-hour workshops. So you can essentially imagine that in your month, if you've got 2 6-hour tarot immersion workshops available to you, and you have a tarot reading from me every month, over the course of a year, that is going to add up to true mastery of the tarot for you. It's going to be an extremely transformative year. 12 hours of workshops every month is essentially like you're taking an intensive day or a weekend retreat out of your month every month. And you don't have to do this every month because that's a huge schedule commitment, but you could if you wanted to. That much material is coming your way to learn and master. And every bit of the online trainings that I get to you and the recorded trainings that I get to you are yours for life, because we're putting them in Udemy courses, and we're giving you access to those Udemy courses. And from within Udemy, once you're in, you're in. That's one of your courses. It's in your library. You can view it online. You can download the PDF workbooks we're going to give you for each course from there, so you can follow along with a workbook if you want to. Or you can download the videos to put wherever you want. And another really beautiful thing about Udemy's, it really does function as a library here for us, because it allows you to view these trainings. They're mostly online videos with PDF workbooks. And so you can view these on any device that works for you, whether that's, an iPhone, an Android phone, an iPad, a MacBook, a laptop computer, or if you wanted to somehow download those and put them onto discs so you can play them from a DVD player even. It's completely whatever format of viewing these online trainings works for you. Udemy makes happen. So all of this $45 a month, these weekend workshops full of all of these day workshops and day retreats and courses, that's all yours for $45 a month. So that over the course of a year, you build a pretty extensive library of tarot trainings. I guarantee that the Tarot Mastery Club is going to give you mastery of the tarot in a way like no other program will, because it is so comprehensive. So that's what we have available to you right now. It's $45 a month right now. I will be raising the price on that for the spring equinox to $75 a month, by the way. If you're one of the first 10, you get those bonuses of the longer readings immediately. You're going to get those bonuses eventually anyway, with the whole waitlist thing with my schedule. And you can also choose to pay and get a hefty discount of almost $200 off the Tarot Mastery Club if you want to go ahead and pay one payment of $350 now. You should see options to do both right underneath this video. I hope you can join us. I'm excited to start the 2015 to 2016 year at the Tarot Mastery Club, and thanks so much for listening.